the YPG is by far the largest of our groups in the British Computer Society. Over a third of our members are in the YPG, and a large proportion of those are students. It's very refreshing because students are tomorrow's future. In addition to having a rapid growth in the BCS, we're now, a couple of weeks ago, we reached our 70,000th member. We've been growing rapidly over the last few years, and one of the more encouraging statistics is that our average age has gone down in the last 3 years from 38 to 28. Anybody who knows anything about statistics and maths and all the rest will know that that's actually represents quite a hell of a jump. And therefore, it's encouraging for us because it actually says that that the British Computer Society still has something to offer young people today and young professionals today. Now, those who've heard me talk before, and quite a few of them in this room have, will know that there's something that I'm particularly keen on, and that is the changing nature of computing. Over the last 50 to 60 years, through its infancy and its growth, and certainly in the last century, really computing was the preserve of experts and elite, as somebody who mentioned used the word this evening, very often based in academia. And if it was in industry, then it was a backroom job and it was a dark art. And I suppose there may have been those of us who were around in the early days who had a degree of interest in actually preserving that black art so that it looked even that much more special. And this particular country has actually been at the forefront of so many of the developments in computing and in the way in which computing and the internet have grown, and don't need to enumerate those this evening. But that's very, very important, and our academic background and our academic heritage is absolutely critical, and it must go on for the future. But the real watchword for the British Computer Society as we move forward now is actually the word relevance. And we're finding more and more that the British Computer Society, if we're actually going to succeed in the community and in all walks of life, we've got to make what we do relevant. We've actually got to look to ourselves and say that this particular century, where the last one was about development and innovation, this particular century is really where computing and information technology comes into its own, and it's all about how you apply the technology. So applied computing, applied technology is absolutely critical, and that now covers every aspect of life. There's not one thing that you can think of, I would suggest, that doesn't involve technology in some way or other. There is not a profession these days that does not actually rely in some degree, some more than others, upon information and upon information technology. So the critical thing for anybody who's coming up through the education field at the moment is to know that there is such a future out there. And I know we're going through very difficult economic times at the moment, and people are worried about their jobs and so on, and lots of postulations about whether IT is a good career to be in or not. Well, I can tell you it is, because tomorrow's world, if not today's world, is just 100% dependent upon what computers and technology do. So it's very, very refreshing, therefore, to see a lot of effort put into a competition that's actually got something which is tackling a real live problem. And it's tackling something which is both fun, it's got a relevance, albeit perhaps at a simplistic plane to an everyday game that people can play, but equally so at a very highly mathematical plane. And I can tell you that I've been in computing for more years than I care to remember now. I started off in the early 70s, and I've done my bit of shuffling bits around on the screen. And I've therefore come to know exactly what the power of computing can be, but most importantly, what goes on behind the screen. And so many people these days, 95% of people these days will actually use technology without really any understanding of what's going on behind that screen. We'll take it for granted that they can refresh the screen so rapidly, that can have so many millions of different shades of colour and so on. And yet those who really know what's going on behind the screen know that there's such a lot of brain power condensed into that small piece that you're actually looking at. And so therefore it's something that takes that forward, shows a real relevance, and something which translates into an everyday experience for people outside in the community or wherever, is always something to be praised.